Welcome to the Swishlist Podcast, where we talk all things basketball. Hosted by two brothers, Moses and Roman. Let's get into it. All right, everybody, welcome in episode 12. It's been a minute. Our podcast is kind of like J.R. Smith. We went from being really consistent to you never know what you're going to get, but we're going to get back to some consistency. One of the reasons why we've been taking the breaks that we are is to make sure that we've got enough to bring maximum value to you, the listeners, every single week. We're going to do our own version of a draft. Should be pretty exciting. We're going to talk about Bronny James, what's his future, and how does that impact LeBron? We're going to do one-on-one matchups. We're going to discuss Team USA. Is this the weakest we've been since the Redeem Team? Not to mention discussing if there's one player that never gets hurt, what does their career look like? And who would you choose to be that player? We got a lot to talk about today. Should be a pretty exciting episode. A couple of small notes in the NBA world. We are actively watching Damian Lillard and what's going on. The NBA just told him and his agent to stop putting out any pro-Miami messaging. I think that everybody understands that this trade isn't going to be happening within the next week or so. Both camps are probably digging in their heels a little bit, and we're just waiting to see if Miami can come up with the right teams to execute the trade, or if somebody else is going to be that trade partner. So that's the biggest news. Same thing with James Harden. There's really not a lot to discuss for the last two big guys. We might honestly be looking at those players staying on those rosters into training camp and maybe even to the trade deadline. So let's start by talking about Bronny James. For those of you that don't know, Bronny James suffered a cardiac arrest at USC. Pretty scary situation when that happens. The last time that we've really seen this on the national level was the DeMar Hamlin situation in the NFL last year. Thankfully, trainers were able to make sure that Bronny was okay. They got him to the hospital and he's out. We've seen video of him. He seems to be okay, which is very exciting. But one of the biggest things that's called into question, and before we kind of get into that, we're so grateful that he's okay. First and foremost, that he's healthy, that he's doing all right. This is a pretty scary situation for someone that's never going to be healthier, right? Just for something like that to happen, we're glad he's okay. But the biggest question that's asked right now is, what is his long-term future when it comes to basketball? Is he ever going to be able to play basketball? And does it push back any timeline with him going to the league? One of the biggest reasons why this is a topic of discussion is because Bronny uniquely is a player that doesn't have to go to the NBA. Some of these guys, this is their life, and this may be their livelihood. This is their only way to make it out of their current situation. That's not the case with Bronny. He can live a great life and pursue so many things with the backing of his family and be very successful. And it does not have to happen on the basketball court. Roman, what are some of your initial thoughts when we're talking about the Bronny situation?
I don't really want to overreact on it. I know it's an awful thing to happen, freak accident, like you said, probably in the prime of his life, and experience something like that is awful. So I think the road to recovery is going to be long, but this is a kid whose passion is basketball. He's taken after his dad. I see him coming back and just being the same guy that he was. I know it's an awful injury to experience. I think he's going to come back and be fine. This is Bronny James. He's a freak talent. I think he's ranked as high as he is for a reason, really high on him. So I'm not too worried about the future for Bronny. I still think he's still going to be the Bronny that we knew before.
That's what I want for him. If you took his name out of the equation, the last thing you want to see is a guy that could be as high as a lottery pick in the draft lose his chance because of a freak injury. This wouldn't be the first time that we've seen something like this. It brings to mind Isaiah Austin. He was that top prospect. Lottery pick, was supposed to be drafted, ends up right before the draft finding out he has Marfan syndrome, and basically his career is over at that point. He's an honorary draftee by the NBA, but falls short of his dream right when he gets to the finish line. That's the last thing I'd want to see for Bronny James. This is a kid who has put in so much work to maximize his talents and has a legit chance to make it to the league. That's what we want for him. And one of the greatest things is he's going to have access to the best doctors, the LeBron James of doctors. He's going to have access to in the same way that his father does, to make sure that he gets as healthy as possible. Taking a little bit of a pivot, let's talk about Ben Simmons. Let's talk about this guy. You're seeing the posts on social media of him in the gym the workouts. Mikal Bridges was talking a little bit about Ben Simmons. You specifically wanted to talk about his current situation. Why are you so interested now, again, in Ben?
Going through social media, I see some stuff about Ben Simmons, doing a little research, and I end up on this downfall of Ben Simmons. So shout out to the guy who did really like a deep dive into his career. And it's just so interesting. He started back from his high school days into his LSU days, all the ESPN analysis, all that kind of stuff, just talking about what kind of a career that he could possibly have, talking about how he's possibly the next LeBron if he can develop a jump shot, all those kinds of things. And I feel like we forgot about him for a while. Once he got traded to the Nets, it just like he fizzled out like he did with the Sixers, with the whole mental issues and I can't play because my back hurts and that kind of stuff. And I just wonder if we'll ever see a Ben Simmons like we did when he was an all-star a few years ago with Joel on the Nets. And I think the jump shot thing is so important. A lot of these analyzers of the NBA and these kind of people always talk about how if you don't have a jump shot in the NBA, then you won't make it and you won't be able to hold a job. And I think it stands true for a guy like Ben Simmons. The way he facilitates is amazing. I remember back in like 2018, he was one of the best defenders in the NBA. He was a guy who could give you a triple double every single night, but could never even put up a 15-footer. I don't know what he does in the offseason. A lot of the talk is against his work ethic and stuff like that and how he deals with coaches as well. So I think sometimes him not having a jump shot is a bit of a retaliation to people telling him that he needs a jump shot. And I don't know. I think it's just the downfall of his career. I don't know if he's ever going to be like he was in those few years with the 76ers because he developed a jump shot. And also he doesn't like to listen to people. I feel like he's the type of person to always think he's right on the court. And even when a coach tells him he's doing something wrong or that he needs to work on something, I feel like he's the type of player to not do that. So I don't think we ever see the Ben Simmons that we've saw before. We might see glimpses of it, but not having a jumper in today's game with the type of player that it's never going to happen for him.
When I look at Ben Simmons, this is what's tough, man, is you're like the 1% of the 1% if you go to the league, let alone be an all-star. And Ben Simmons' play style got him literally to be an all-star in the NBA. So it's really difficult for somebody from an outside perspective, if he's not really willing to listen, to say, hey, you need to do something different. And he goes, do I? Because I literally just got a triple double and I'm one of the 20 best players in the league or 40 best players on planet Earth right now. So do I really need to? This is the difference between some of those guys that are hungry to get to the next level. Like, I feel like Giannis doesn't have a great jump shot, but you feel like he works on it. You feel like he's putting in the effort. With Ben Simmons, that gets called into question. And some people are going to say that's narrative, some are not. Some are going to question his love for the game. This is a guy that I think is in a unique situation where there's no expectation for Brooklyn to really be successful. Now that they don't have Kyrie Irving, they don't have Kevin Durant. It's Mikal Bridges, Ben Simmons, and Cam Johnson and the rest of the guys. We're not expecting them to be more than a 5 seed. A 5 seed, I think, would be an overachievement for this team. And so he doesn't have championship expectations or conference finals expectations. Based on what Mikal said on Paul George's podcast, it seems like there's plenty of buy-in for him to get back to where he needs to be and to take his time and to be human about the process. He doesn't have to be perfect when he steps on the court his first game. He just needs to make progress. They're not chasing perfection. They're chasing progress with Ben. And I think that if he is committed to basketball, we're going to see it this season because he's not the first guy to struggle mentally when it comes to his jump shot. Draymond Green talked about how he lost his jump shot, that he focused so much on other people that he has basically lost his ability to shoot in the league. So this has never happened before. This isn't unique to Ben Simmons, but I think this is the best opportunity for him to get back to where he was before. I'm more focused on what his floor is rather than his ceiling. I have major doubts that we're ever going to get prime Ben Simmons. I think he's out of his prime at this point. Can he be a starter in the league? Can he give you valuable starting minutes? That's what I'm looking for. And I think at this point, based on the injuries that he's had, and the battles that he's had to go through physically, mentally, that I'm looking more at the floor. And if his floor is an NBA starter, you're feeling pretty good.
I'm not looking for Ben Simmons to come out here and take 20 shots a game. I remember a couple years ago in the playoffs, it seemed like he refused to take any sort of shot, avoiding Trae Young in game set in very important game of the playoffs. Even with the Nets, we saw it last year, just sometimes giving up wide open layups, wide open dunks, stuff like that. He just doesn't look like he has the confidence level. So I'd look for Ben Simmons to come out here and just take the shots that he needs to take and work his way up rather than shying away from that. I don't need to see him take 20 shots a game, but just at least get your layups, get your dunks, look to get yourself some buckets first.
Yeah. This kind of creates a pretty fun conversation around some of the other more popular names in the league. We're at the point in the year where you're getting to see a lot of these NBA players play in the Pro-Am leagues, the J Crossover League, the Drew League, stuff overseas. There's a video that surfaced of Dylan Brooks dropping a 30 ball in a Canadian Pro-Am league. Let's be real, people. If you're going to call somebody washed, you probably need to make sure you say they're NBA washed. Because if an NBA player is able to score double digits in the league, 12 points a game, I promise you he's going to give you buckets. I promise you he's going to give you crazy work, crazy work. You saw something where somebody dropped 83.
Yeah, Marjan, the Bucks. He was a JUCO player, made it to the league. He dropped 83, which is the new record for the J Crossover League. Kyrie dropped 30-point triple double in his, I think it was the Drew League. He dropped a triple double, 30-point triple double. Bones Highland, 45 points in just some pro-am game. This is a guy who's coming off the bench. We've seen him do his thing, but you just put it into perspective on these guys who come off the bench and give you, sometimes they have games where they have 8 points in an NBA game, can go out against guys who have played college ball, maybe have played overseas, and they can give these guys 45, 50 points. So it's good to put it in perspective of how good these 400, 500 guys are in the NBA.
I think there's a lot of players that will never get to realize their true potential because there's just somebody else that's on that roster. Mikal Bridges from last season is a prime example of as soon as he was given an opportunity, scoring way up. He became the focal point of the Nets, and people were like, whoa, what is going on with Bridges? He's dropping like 40, back to back 40 balls. What is going on over there? A lot of guys in the league are actually capable of doing that. A lot of those guys did that. We even hear about Pat Bev when he was in high school, how he was dropping 50 balls. These guys are professional. They're pros. They don't go out there and they're like, how can I get 8 points in the game? They take what the game gives based on the situation that they're put in. And sometimes guys get hot and they're allowed to maybe shoot a little bit more, or other times they're just defaulting to a better player or the guy who's making the most money or kind of whatever dynamic happens within that team. But it shows how unselfish a lot of these players actually are, that they can be in the league and they're willing to say, you know what, in the NBA, I'm a 10 and 10 guy. That's what I am. And I'm going to be the best 10 and 10 player I possibly can be. And maybe I can get those 10 points to 15, but I'm only going to be able to take 7 shots a game. What's the maximum value I can add to my team with only 7 shots coming my way? And then when they hit a pro-am and they're allowed to shoot 27 shots, that they're capable of giving more. Fun to get to watch these guys do what they do and maybe flex their muscles a little bit.
And another thing I want to say with these games is if you watch not just the highlights, but some of these complete games, it just shows you how consistent these guys are too. Not even just scoring the ball, but like their handle, the way they move around the court as well. You watch these pro-am guys and there's a lot of turnovers, there's a lot of miscommunications. And
Mhm.
I don't think NBA players get enough credit for that sometimes. A guy has 5 turnovers in a game, in an NBA game, and it's all, this is the end of the world. But in a pro-am game, that's a normal thing. And these guys have the most incredible handle on the ball. Their finishing touch is amazing, and they just know how to read the game better than anyone. So I think they should get a lot of credit for just their consistency, not just the scoring, but everything that they do on the court.
Yeah, no, it's a high value kind of piece to add. Sometimes what's amazing when you see, let me say it like this. One of the best ways that I've been able to analyze the gap in talent when you see stuff like this is the pace at which they play. When I watch a lot of pro-am games, it feels like you can't rush the NBA player. They're doing what they want when they want. They're getting to the spot they want, and they are shooting the ball. It doesn't matter if your hand's in their face or not. Like, you are not getting in the way of what they are doing. That's probably one of the most incredible things. Is it feels so effortless when you watch them play, where the person on the other side of the ball is working so hard just to be there. So just another call out.
Yep. That reminds
Uh,
me when LeBron had that 50 piece in that pro-am game, and that guy
yeah,
on the other side was just giving his all, but it's LeBron.
it's LeBron.
Mhm.
It's LeBron. Let's talk about Team USA. I don't know about this Team USA, man. I
It's very
really
interesting.
don't. I
It's
looked at
really
that
young.
roster and I was like, wow. I'm afraid we're about to have one of those early 2000s kind of moments because the talk of the town is that the world has caught up.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and I don't know if here in the States we've passed the baton to this younger generation from at a superstar level. You look, the last generation had LeBron, Kevin Durant, like just
Kevin Durant he played 4 years ago.
yeah, they had all-time great players. Kobe Bryant before that, like Michael Jordan before we have had Carmelo Anthony in his prime. We've had some of the biggest names in the history of the sport. You look at this team and feels like more of an afterthought than a leading USA roster. What are your thoughts going on with Team USA?
It's weird, man, because I've never seen a roster like this before. Like I was just
Yeah.
saying, even 4 years ago, we had Kevin Durant on the team, like one of the I think he is like the all-time leading scorer for Team USA. We had guys like that. Now it's really interesting because it's a lot of that young talent, but these are not I'm not hearing one guy that I feel like is a top 10 player in the league playing. Like we got really young guys. I think Paulo's playing, Austin Reeves is playing. Like I know he just signed a deal with
Austin
like
Reeves, that is just like,
Bobby Portis is playing.
yeah,
There is some real
the
interesting
bottom of the
guys.
roster is no good. The bottom of the roster is no good, man. Walker Kessler's on there, and he didn't have a bad rookie season, but I'm like, that's what we got. So let's do this. Who do you think on that roster cements themselves as a top tier player? My pick is Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards can use Team USA to help take his game to that next level,
Mhm.
to maybe even separate himself a little bit more from his peers and put himself at the top of the league. Based on his talent, I think he's capable of getting there. Will he get there? I don't know. But if I'm looking at that roster right now, and I'm looking like who can go out there and really dominate, take over a game, I'm
Yeah.
probably looking at Anthony Edwards. Who are you looking at?
See, that is the choice.
Yeah.
But like
No, it is.
let me look at this roster.
And you could say that would be your number one choice, but you got to pick somebody else. Cam Johnson's on there. That's not even.
Okay, so
You got Paolo, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Halliburton, Josh Hart.
okay, I'm taking
Just
McHale then.
what?
I'm taking
You're
McHale then.
taking Mikal
Yeah.
over Brandon Ingram, over Jaron Jackson Jr.,
Ooh.
over Brunson,
It's between BI and McHale for sure.
over
But
Brunson.
yeah, it's one of those two.
Okay.
I love Brunson, but I don't know. BI just reminded me of KD, and we know what KD does for Team USA.
I don't see it the same, man.
What?
He might be like, I think that Brandon Ingram is just, he slows the game down so much. I don't like the way that the game flows around him when he gets the
I
ball. It's
love
just like he
I
gets the
love
ball and everything stops. I don't love that. Never
How
been a
do
big
you
fan of
not
that.
love that? That is a guy who literally takes control of the game.
I don't feel like he does. That's my thing. I feel like it just stops the game and it's just like a bunch of guys watching. I'm
Uh,
not saying he's a bad player. I'm
no,
not
I know
saying he's
you're
a
not.
bad player. Kevin Durant fits into any system. He'll catch and shoot. He'll play in the post. He'll take you off the dribble. He'll play fast break. Brandon Ingram might be great value, Kevin Durant, but that's about as close to KD as he gets. He's not the name brand.
No, I'm just saying he reminds me of. But I think
Okay.
that team, a healthy BI and a healthy Zion, is a top 3 team in the West.
3.
Yeah. Don't forget this team was number 1 at one point.
You know what? This is like as much of a what if as that Marvel show on Disney Plus. I don't think you're ever gonna see a healthy Zion Williamson. That may not be reality anymore. Anyway, so you're taking BI. You're saying he's the guy.
Yeah, yeah. Bi with Mikal is a close second, very
Okay.
close second.
Okay. But you would have taken Anthony Edwards if I didn't.
Anthony Edwards is, I feel like, a level above of everybody else.
Bro, he's when he breaks through, dude, he's gonna be crazy. It may not
Dude,
be in
short,
Minnesota.
dude,
He's like
shorter.
6, I think
Like,
he's 6'5".
yeah, if he was a few inches taller, I don't know. That Timberwolves team would be extremely scary.
They'd
Like
probably
a
be
real.
so happy. They love centers. They'd love to have 5 of them starting.
No, I'm just saying, if he was like a true shooting guard, NBA size now, and
Y
not 6'5", a lot of the guards are 6'5" now. If he
Yeah.
was like a 6'7", man, he'd be even more dangerous.
Yeah, but have you seen Canada's FIBA team?
Oh, they're good. Oh, they're really good. Is what they got. They got Shea. They got
What's into this roster, bro?
is Jamal
They
Murray
got
playing for him?
they've got Nikhil Alexander-Walker, Kyle Alexander, RJ Barrett. Let's see, O'Shea Brissett, Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort, Shea, Corey Joseph, Jamal Murray, Kelly Olynyk, Dwight Powell. Like, they got players. They got players, man.
Okay, but that's not better than the USA guys.
No, it's not better. It's not better.
This is what we're talking about. This isn't
But
NBA
Shea, we're
basketball.
talking about, but Shea was first team All NBA.
Oh yeah, Shea's better than everybody. That's for sure. But the
Shea's
players around
like,
him are going to
so
matter.
So that might be what it is going into this tournament, is other teams may have a higher peak than us. Like, they may have a higher, like, their best player may be better than ours, but you think we have a better all-around roster than the
Yeah,
field.
the Luka, the
Yeah.
Giannis, these types of players who are on those teams.
Yeah.
Which, who knows, they might be able to steal some games just from that single player. But yeah, even the Canadian team, that these names that you're naming, obviously the role players for the Team USA team are going to be better than any other squad.
Okay. Okay. FIBA's going to be interesting this year. I'm still shocked Austin Reeves is on this list. I don't know where all the Austin Reeves love comes from. I think he's a great role player, but
Hey, he just signed a big contract. Come
the
on. And
meteoric
correct me
rise
if
of
I'm
Austin
wrong,
Reeves, man.
Bobby Portis is on the USA roster, right?
Yeah, Bobby Portis is on the roster. BDI Bobby. Yeah, to me, Austin Reeves feels like Jeremy Lin. That's the player comparison for me as far as came out of nowhere, no name guy to all of a
But this
sudden.
isn't a lockdown. Reeves showed up. Reeves showed up in the playoffs too.
Jeremy
Not on
Lin
the
was hitting
defensive end.
Jeremy Lin was hitting game winners,
Yeah, for a 14-game stretch.
and it made his career.
Yeah, it did, but it's not like Reeves has been doing this now.
Doing what?
And Jeremy Lin was doing this against guys who weren't like the best in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? This is prime lockout in the NBA.
Ah. Okay, there's something to that. I'm just saying it feels like the hype is a bit much right now.
Okay. I
That's
guess
all I'm
time will
saying.
tell. I'm
I'm not
saying I
saying,
believe the hype.
like, if I'm looking at the pressure gauge, he's not overrated, but he's above properly rated. I think it's a
Okay.
little bit much.
Just
A little bit.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
He's not overrated, but it's a little bit past properly rated.
I don't think so. I think he's properly rated. I think he got the money he deserves. I think he's gonna put some weight on too here in the next few years because he looks like just a slim white kid. I have hope in Austin Reeves.
It's not that I don't. Like, you can't even
I
make
okay. I
this is
have
the
more hope
thing.
than you in
Yeah.
Austin Reeves.
You can't, like, in today's world, I can't even say, "Hey, I don't know how I feel about that guy," because it's just automatically out. I can't stand that guy.
That's
Like,
true, and
that's not
I
the
just did that
case.
to you. Yeah, I just did that.
No, yeah,
Well,
everybody
not
does.
really.
It's like that's
Yeah,
what Stephen A and all those guys have done to talking about sports. It's like, if you kind of have questions about a guy, if you're like, "Hey, I want to see what he can do," all of a sudden you're Skip Bayless talking about
it's
LeBron
negative.
James.
Yeah,
It's just negative. I'm not out on Austin Reeves, okay? I
you're just not
just
as high as I am on.
He's just not a top 3 shooting guard in the league or a top 5 shooting guard in the league. That's all.
Definitely not. Okay,
Thank you.
I can agree with you on that.
Thank you. I wanna give you a what if scenario. Roman, you can pick one player to never get hurt. Who do you choose?
You got your Brandon Roys, your Tracy McGrady's, your Grant Hills, There's a lot of them, but there's one guy in particular that made my childhood what it was, and his name is Derrick Rose. There is no other option for me. I think that this team could have disturbed some of the Heat playoff runs. I think if Jimmy Butler stays there, this is the type of team that could have disturbed the Cavaliers and Warriors into that kind of stuff. This is what I'm saying. This is MVP, the youngest MVP ever. You don't think this guy is disturbing any of that? And I just can't believe that. We got a defensive player of the year in Joakim Noah. Jimmy Butler on the come up. You know what he is now. You know what he was when he left the Bulls. And I've got MVP Derrick Rose, who never got hurt. The biggest what if is Derrick Rose.
It's up there. Jimmy Butler may never be Jimmy Butler if Derrick Rose doesn't get hurt. There's other factors, but this is all speculation. This is all opinion. That's all it is.
That's just not true.
So
Jimmy Butler would have been Jimmy Butler regardless. I don't want to.
So I asked you the question, so you get to have your answer. My answer is a little bit different. And this has less to do with one player and their entire career and more to do with a legacy and how it impacts the league. My choice is Kyrie Irving. What if Kyrie does not break his kneecap in the finals against Golden State? I think that it's not about a player's career because Kyrie's had a great career, but we're talking about how would that have influenced the league? Imagine if LeBron wins that first ring against Golden State. What does that do to the Warriors? The Warriors aren't the Warriors if Cleveland wins that first ring.
Very true.
The next season, what happened in that next season, Roman?
In 2016?
Yeah, 3-1.
The Warriors blew a 3-1 lead.
Warriors blow a 3-1 lead. So if the Warriors lose back-to-back finals to LeBron James, the Warriors are not the Warriors. I don't think they're going out and getting Kevin Durant. They may be trading Klay Thompson. They might be breaking it up. Like, you just don't know what could have happened. That's my biggest what if, is because that injury, in my opinion, created the dynasty.
Yeah, and 2015, I believe the Cavs had a 2-1 lead.
They were up
on them in the finals.
And LeBron was going crazy in the finals.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's my what if, because it changes LeBron's narrative. You may never have a Warriors dynasty.
Not only that, you might have a Kyrie that never wants to leave. If he comes in year 4, he's a champion. Year 5, he's a champion. I don't think he's going to be worried about all this big brother stuff and trying to get away from LeBron. It's no, I'm the best team in the league.
Yeah.
Let me stay here and keep getting rings. Like, that's a good one. So I think it changes Kyrie's career a lot too.
That's my pick. Not really a player pick, a little bit different, but gives us two sides of the coin.
You're a Bron sexual. You just want to make that about LeBron.
Man, shut up, man. Hey, shut up. Look, man, I'm not a Bron sexual. What I'm saying is it would be interesting to see because it changes basketball history. Okay, you sound like Dr. J, not putting LeBron James in your top 10 all-time players, not putting Kobe Bryant in your top 10, putting Karl Malone in there, a bad toucher, not putting Tim Duncan in there. That's who you're. That's
Nate
who
Archibald
you sound like.
too.
All right, my man.
About Nate Archibald.
Nate Archibald. What? Come on, dude. Come on. Hey, listen. I wanted to have a different type of conversation around the topic, and I think that one decision, Kevin Durant may not end up in Golden State.
The West and the East got ruined for 4 straight years because of the Cavs and the Warriors. There was a lot of teams that didn't get to do anything.
It was a foregone conclusion what was about to go down every single year.
Thank goodness Toronto finally got a shot in 2019.
I think the whole world was rooting for Toronto. I think if you didn't live in Oakland, you were rooting for Toronto.
All right. One-on-one matchups. Moses, are you ready?
Let's get into it.
Okay, so our first matchup, we got Dominique Wilkins versus Scottie Pippen.
Oh, shoot, dude. Okay. Dominique Wilkins, bro, I think there was only like 1, maybe 2 seasons he didn't average 20 plus points a game. Scottie maybe had 2 seasons he averaged 20 a game. I know he's a great defender, but I don't know how you don't take Dominique Wilkins. That's got to be my pick. Jump out of the gym. This guy was battling with Michael Jordan. It's Dominique for me.
This one's a facilitators matchup for guards. We got Jay Kidd versus Steve Nash.
They're going to be passing the ball off the backboard where they're going to be shooting it. Gosh. I'm going to go Steve Nash. He's the better shooter. Steve Nash, I think, is going to be able to score the ball from more spots on the floor. I don't feel great about it, but that's the pick.
We got Larry Bird versus Dr. J.
Larry Bird versus the Doctor. I'm taking Larry Bird on this one. Larry Bird's a stone cold killer. And these guys played in a similar era. They ended up fighting on the court as well. I'm taking Larry Bird for sure. I've got him higher all time. I think he's the better scorer. I think he's the better shooter. I think he's the better player. Larry Bird.
Blake Griffin versus Chris Webber.
Yeah, that's Chris Webber for me. I think that he has a deeper bag. He's got more post moves. He's got the ability to score when he's got the. No, yeah, I'm serious.
Deeper bag than Blake.
Blake Griffin was a dunk machine, sure. He was great in the fast break, but without Chris Paul passing him the ball, when's the last time you saw him like do anything on the basketball court? You weren't watching him into. You weren't watching.
Pistons.
You weren't watching.
Everybody was watching Blake that year.
Nobody was watching
Blake was
that
all
year.
NBA that year. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Bro,
was
nobody.
That team to the playoffs.
And he carried his way to the Celtics bench. What?
Blake was all NBA that year.
I'm taking Chris Webber.
Okay, but I just don't want to hear you say that Blake doesn't have a bag.
I didn't say he doesn't have a bag. I said Webber has a deeper bag.
He does not have a deeper bag.
If I say one player has a deeper bag, you can't just assume that means the other guy doesn't have one.
But I disagree with you on that.
Who are you? Skip Bayless?
I disagree with you.
What's wrong with you, man?
I disagree.
Of course you do. Look, man, Chris Webber is going to be better in one-on-one than Blake Griffin. It's one-on-one.
That's all Blake Griffin did.
You're not getting that.
One-on-one. That's all he did.
You don't know? You didn't watch?
Yes, I did.
You didn't see him play? Don't even lie.
This is good Blake Griffin. Like, this is all NBA Blake Griffin.
He was so good in Detroit. He scored 24.5 a game, 7.5 rebounds, 5.4 assists. All right. That's pretty good. Let's look at 2000, 2001. Chris Webber averaging 27 and 11. I'm taking that Chris Webber. He's better than Blake Griffin. I think he's going to win one-on-one against Blake Griffin. I think he's got better post moves than Blake Griffin. You're taking Detroit. That's the Blake. You want to take Detroit Blake?
That's one of his best years.
Do you think that's the best Blake? Because that's a weird pick. That's a strange pick.
But I feel like that's all NBA Blake.
You're saying you're taking that Blake Griffin because it proved that he wasn't reliant on Chris Paul. I would accept that argument. Because the other Blake Griffins, like, he was just getting fed the ball from DP.
When I think of the best Blake Griffin, I think of him by himself. I don't think of him catching lobs all the time. Sure,
that's
he was
crazy.
Probably a younger, better player then.
That's crazy.
But the best Blake is when he's on the Pistons.
That's actually crazy.
For our final matchup, so we got Paul Pierce versus Dwayne Wade. And we got one-on-one, and I want you to tell me who you think is the better player overall.
One-on-one is its own game. Okay, that's what some people don't realize. When you talk about one-on-one, if the players are comparable in height, weight, the better player is going to win. But when you've got a mismatch in height, when you've got a major mismatch in weight, sometimes that can just dominate one-on-one. Paul Pierce, he's 6'7". Wade's 6'4". That's 3 inches. Listen, man, 3 inches is a big difference.
Pause.
Paul Pierce is probably going to win one-on-one because he's a bigger player, especially if it's 3 dribbles. Because Paul's game is very much so shot maker, shot creator, hand in his face. He doesn't care. Knock it down. Wade probably would need more dribbles. So if we're going on a 3 dribble, I'm taking Pierce. But if we're talking better player all time, it's Wade's a better player all time. He's had the better career. Sure, I understand that Paul's out there saying, hey, man, if I had Shaq, if I had LeBron, if I had these guys, you had an MVP in KG, you had Ray Allen, you made it to the finals one time. Some people don't even consider you the best player on that team. Wade did have a finals run where he was the best player on his run. He wasn't with LeBron, but he's the 3rd greatest shooting guard of all time. And Paul Pierce is not on the top 5 for his position. I don't think it's comparable in terms of the better player, but in one-on-one, from a physical attributes perspective, because Paul Pierce wins in that category, he probably wins in one-on-one.
I'm taking D-Wade. I just I have to take D-Wade. Paul Pierce don't play defense, so I'm taking D-Wade. I don't think defense really matters that much.
All right,
but I agree with you on who's a higher player is D-Wade.
Yeah, it's not even close. All right, if you think we got it wrong, let me know. Especially the Blake Griffin one, man. That's like ridiculous. Draft the starting 5, but all of your players have to be under 25.
With my first pick, There's two guys.
Oh, you get one. You get one.
Jason Tatum.
You're taking Tatum.
Tatum's my first pick. He's
I
under
did not.
25, right? 24?
Yeah, he is.
It's between him and Luka. I had to go.
Yeah. I honestly thought you were going to take Luka. I'm going to take Luka with my first pick, and I'm taking Anthony Edwards with my second pick. My backcourt's solid.
Yeah.
My backcourt is solid.
Your backcourt is good. Oh, this is tough, man. There's so much thought that goes into this. With my second pick, I'm going to go Shea.
Wow, you're not taking Ja.
No, I'd rather have Shea.
Okay.
It was between those two, but I'm going to go there. With my third pick, I'm taking Zion.
Oh, shoot, dude. That's actually a good pick. Okay, so if you take Zion, I'm going to take, for my third pick, Jaren Jackson Jr., because I need defense. But I'm going to play him at center. And at power forward, give me Paolo Banchero. Ooh, yeah.
I don't know. That seems early, Mo. That seems early.
Could I have gotten Paolo with my fifth pick?
Yeah, you definitely could have.
Oh, no.
You didn't pick up Ja, did you?
No.
I'm just going to pick up Ja. Now I got my backcourt.
Bro, your team's small. You have no height. You don't have a big.
Jason Tatum's 6'9". I'm just going to pick a center last. I got 6'3".
Okay, what's your last pick?
6'6".
What's your last pick?
I'm going Victor. Victor Wembanyama.
You've never seen the man play.
Okay.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's a reason he's not a high prospect. I'm going Victor.
That's crazy. All right. This is so tough, bro. The Zion pick really killed me. If I would have got Zion, I think my roster's made. I didn't think you were going to take him. Give me De'Aaron Fox. I don't know what else to take.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Act
like De'Aaron Fox isn't good.
I think that's the best pick that I could make given my situation. So that means I'm going Luka, Fox, Edwards, Banchero, Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah, we both kind of undersized, but your first three are crazy.
My guards are good.
But you got three guards. I got Ja at the 1. I got Shea at the 2. I got Jason Tatum at the 3. Zion at the 4.
Yeah.
And Victor at the 5.
All right, people. Y'all going to have to tell us who has the better roster. I might have been cooked on the Banchero pick, but we just don't know. All right, let us know who you think has the better 5. All right, everybody. That brings us to the end of this episode of the Swishlist Podcast. We appreciate you listening. Thank you so much for being here. We talked about a lot of fun stuff today, and we are excited to... We can't wait to see you next week. Thank you so much for being here. That's the end of the Swishlist Podcast, episode 12. We'll catch you next time. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Swishlist Podcast. Catch us on social, and we'll see you next week.